Hello, Incorrigiblites! Leland Steele here, and we have something a little different for you today. It is just me this time, and I'm going to be tackling a solo RPG adventure called The Long Haul 1983, written by Sean Patrick Cain. Sean has created several unique-looking RPGs. They're all available through itch.io or directly from their store, shop.seanpatrickcain.com. Links will be in the episode's show notes if after the playthrough. It sounds like something you might want to pick up yourself and give a go. Long Haul 1983 investigates themes of isolation, dependency, trauma, futility, and mental and physical health. Stories may end in character death or defeat. It's a game about a dangerous journey through an empty world as you attempt to reach your destination alive. When the game starts, you choose a specific person you're trying to reach in a very distant place. This serves as your destination. And every game day ends with you finding a payphone and making a call to this person, leaving a message on their answering machine. This person never picks up, but you keep calling. Not knowing what lies ahead of you means your destination, it may end up being unreachable. Your whole journey, it might all be for nothing. But you drive day after day until you can't. On our character sheet, our travel track marks our progress towards our destination. There are 8 environments that we list in any order on our travel track as kind of part of the setup here. So my order is dust, rain, wind, fog, snow, ice, heat, and finally flood. The first location, of course, is where we begin our journey. If we advance all the way to the end of this track, we reach our destination and end the game. We also start with a wound, kind of a minor ailment that could and most likely will get worse over the course of the game. So for me, I've picked something that I actually struggle with in real life, is a kind of stiff and weakened right shoulder, depending on the angle of movement. That may prove to be a complication as we're driving our big rig and trying to get to our destination. Now, what else is going on in this world is something called the threat, with a capital T. It may feel like it. The world is not entirely empty. So again, at the start of the game, we kind of create this vague sense of what this threat is. And we'll continue to define it as the game progresses and kind of prompts us to. So anytime a game effect tells us to advance the threat, which we also have a little threat track on our character sheet, we check off one of 4 boxes, and when the last box is checked, the threat overtakes us and the game ends. And the threat could be anything, could be anyone, a group of things or people, or something kind of more abstract than like physical beings chasing you. And the rules PDF and the rule book gives plenty of good examples, like starting points to kind of jumpstart you, right? I mean, basically the entire game is like providing you with prompts to then role play. So our first notion that I've picked for this threat will be the occasional strangely flickering object. Something very simple, very could lead us in a number of different directions as we progress through the game and further define it. Now, for some of the actual mechanics of the play of our game, the rules that drive the story forward. So we have 3 stats in the long haul. We have body, mind, and rig, representing physical health and strength, spirit, hope, and clarity, and the condition of our semi-truck, respectively. Each stat on our character sheet has 3 boxes that we will be filling in with dice as we play. And speaking of, we start with 4 fate/fudge dice. If you're familiar with like the fate core system, it uses those die from that system, I believe. They're D6s, and they each have an equal number of pluses, minuses, and blank sides. So, of course, two for each. So I don't have any of these fate fudge dice, so I'm just using standard D6s. So for me, when I roll, a 1 and 2 are going to be the minuses, 3 and 4 are blanks, and 5 and 6 are the pluses. So anytime we're prompted to make a specific stat roll, we're going to roll all of our dice. Again, we start with 4, and we're going to fill in those stats boxes on our character sheet with our best results. If the sum of the dice is negative, we failed the roll. Anything else is a success. So positive, or if it ends up being neutral. So for example, our best result is, say we roll, we get 2 pluses and a minus as our best result. It's going to equal 1 plus, so therefore it's a success. Or if our best results are 1 plus, a minus, and 1 blank, that's going to equal 1 blank, which is also a success, because obviously the plus and minus kind of cancel each other out. These dice in general kind of represent our overall well-being. If we fail a stat roll, we remove one of these die from our pool, which of course will make future successes a little more difficult. If our last die is ever removed, we end the game. Other than the die removal from the dice pool, the consequences of failure, like, it's up to you as you're playing this by yourself to role play those consequences, right? There's nothing like mechanically consequential other than, again, that removal of the die. So like if you fail a body roll, should consider how it affects like our existing wound, or possibly inflicts a new one upon you. Failing a mind roll, you can consider how it might affect you emotionally and psychologically as you're out on the road for days and days and miles, and in Canadian, millions of kilometers. And of course, with the rig roll, you consider the wear and tear and potential failing mechanics of our semi-truck. Some game effects will prompt us to advance a stat, which is a good thing, which means we get to cross off a box on our player sheet. So we have one less space to fill with a die when we make a stat roll, which makes succeeding a little easier, hopefully. I guess you have less boxes to fill in with poor rolls, I suppose, because, with 2 boxes, you only need like a single plus, and it doesn't matter what else you roll, you'll succeed, right? I guess it's still very possible, as random dice rolls go, to roll a minus and then a bunch of blanks. Even with 2 boxes, that's still going to be a minus and a blank, and that's still a failure. So definitely advancing stats, not guaranteed for us to succeed. Although I suppose if we advance enough times to completely cross every box off of any given stat, we have no boxes to fill, so that's going to be an auto success. I don't know if the game will even let us get there, but as we start the game, we actually make 1 advancement right away. So I think I'm going to choose to advance the rig. That seems rather important to keep the truck going. I think it's going to factor into our handling, etc. Of if we come across obstacles or poor weather or whatever may happen out on the road here. It's a long journey. Okay, so we're almost ready to begin, but let me just explain how each game day is divided, as it falls into 4 phases. Starting the engine is how the day always starts. Sometimes it might take you a few tries to get it to turn over, but thankfully, it'll always start eventually. So you do make a roll for the engine. The engine on our character sheet has two boxes instead of 3. And you only need 1 plus to start it. And there are no dice removal consequences if you fail to start. It's more like kind of to settle in, it may take you a few times to get it going as you're doing so, and as you're role playing, you're always in the back of your mind, like, will it start, right? Like, you as your character, kind of, maybe if it takes you a few tries, that could just set the tone for how the rest of the day goes. The rest of the day might end up going pretty poorly, right from the get-go. So I think it's a chance for you to role play in for yourself a bit more, uneasiness or kind of a slight tension. Or again, the opposite. If you could start right away, and maybe you and your truck think it's going to be a great day, and you can then immediately move on to the second phase, hitting the road. And this is where the meat of the game is. For this part, you'll actually need a standard 52 card deck of playing cards. In this phase, at the beginning of it, you take 3 cards from the deck and you place them face down in front of you. Then you're revealing and resolving them one by one. So the 4 suits of the deck represent different aspects of gameplay, and they're going to help tell us the story of our day. So hearts represent body, diamonds are for mind, clubs are for the rig, and spades are road cards, which are very important. When resolving a card, we're going to consult the atlas in the rulebook, and we're going to find the corresponding card and read the prompt. And this is where, again, the meat of like the role play, right? The prompts are they're gonna ask you how they may ask you how you're feeling, mentally, or something might come up that will give you like like induce a memory for your character and allow you to kind of expound upon who your character is. Once all cards have been resolved, then we can end our drive for the day. Or we can chance being on the road for a little longer in hopes that we reach our destination a little faster. When we reveal a spade card for the road in the third phase, when we check our progress, if we've resolved at least one road card, then we advance on our travel track to the next location. If we have drawn no spade while hitting the road, then we're stuck at the same location we started the day in. And it's here we can reflect on our day also and think about RPing through the changes that we've experienced as we prepare for the final phase where we make the call. As I said before, every day we find a payphone, placing a call to our destination, to our person. Again, this person never picks up. We simply leave a message for our person. We could recap the events of the day. We could expound upon theories about the threat. We could develop our character's backstory here, etc. Always remembering that it might be the last call that we ever make out on our journey. So now if you're just playing at home, part of this game is having some kind of recording device for you to record this phone call. And then at the end of the game, you have this record of calls at the end of every day. Kind of, again, you could recap for your loved one, or whoever you choose to be at this destination. And then you have this record of your game. And the itch.io page for the game has a dedicated space where you can share your recordings, and you can go on there and find past plays. There are a few posts from previous other podcasts that have played through this as well. I would recommend taking a listen to if you're interested. Listening back for your play at home, you would just be hearing your phone calls. Or obviously playing through with me, you're going to hear everything. You're going to hear the hitting the road, the me role playing through the prompts as we flip over and resolve cards. So like my phone calls are probably going to be less of a recap to my person because you're already hearing it, right? So for the purposes of my playthrough, a recap for the phone call is probably just going to be assumed, right? I'm gonna choose to role play my calls a little differently, and that's going to kind of play into who my character shapes up to be, and I don't really know who he's going to shape up to be either, right? So again, that's something that I think we're going to find out as we play. The last thing that you would need at home playing the Long Haul 1983 is just some way to play music. So Sean has put together and included a link to a really great and varied Spotify playlist in the game's literature that you could use as background, atmosphere music while you play. Some of the songs are relegated to being like in-game prompts that you could go on and you would like choose like from song 1 to 6. You put it on and it invokes some memory or depending on the prompt. So for our purposes, though, I think we'll just substitute that playlist with the music on there. We'll substitute that playlist with music that, we, the Incorrigible Party, has the explicit permission to use from like Tabletop Audio and Strasher Music and tracks that I've paid for licensing, just to cover our own butts, just to keep it easy. So really, that's it. I think we can begin. Not sure how long this play will turn out being, of course. So that's going to be entirely dependent on the luck of the dice and the luck of the deck. It could end up being very short, but let's hope we can make it to our destination. Those that are familiar with, or those that know me, can probably guess who the person I'm picking at my destination. But that will soon become apparent once we start. It's 1983, and the world feels hollowed out. Yesterday, Sirens cluttering the highways, CB chatter about a jetliner disappearance, rumors of a plague. And today, radio silence. Fires on the horizon. Desolation. I'm in the cab of my aging semi-truck. It's my rig. I'm an owner-operator. My doors are locked. My windows are up. The air inside is stale. I catch myself in my rearview mirror. I see a graying beard, chapped lips, bloodshot eyes. Yesterday I finished a run. I ate a full meal. Slept on my familiar coil spring mattress in the back of my cab. This morning I got the same routine as always. I'm awake and operating for a solid hour before I notice I'm utterly alone. Even this early on the roads, there's always at least a handful of other vehicles I pass by. That pass me, more accurately. There's still power, hot water. Megastore aisles are still lit. Gas pumps are functional, so there's fuel too. But there's no people anywhere, not even one. I think this must be paradise. All my friends know I'm not the biggest fan of people in general, but still. I ruminate on that thought for a little bit, and I second guess myself immediately. Another hour passes by, and it's really eerie. It's uneasy. Listening to the squeak of the vinyl as I shift my weight in the driver's seat. And I'm thinking about how far I am from where I need to be, where I might be needed, or someone might be waiting for me, someone who never stops loving me. Someone who might appreciate a phone call at a time like this. But I gotta keep going. I don't have any time to waste. My thoughts are cloudy. It's a song that keeps rattling around in my head. I just want to be your fantasy. I just want you to be right next to me. Barely audible over the sound of my engine. But it's 1983. I need to find a phone.
Hi, you've reached Emma. Unfortunately, I can't take your call right now, but please leave a message after the beep and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hey, Muffin. Job's finished. Truck full of mannequins. It's a little dusty out here. Kind of arid landscape. Grinding up my windows. Not enough washer fluid to get rid of it. Can make it tough to see, but roads are clear. I haven't seen a vehicle in hours. I'm not sure where everyone is. I don't know if there's some type of evacuation, or maybe there's a festival going on closer to the heart of town. That's where everyone is. I'm gonna try to get home as quickly as possible. Stick to the highways, drive as fast as I can, stopping only for sleep. I just want to be home. I just want to be with you. This rig, Large Marge, she doesn't quit. So I'm not gonna quit either. I'm struggling to keep up with her, honestly. Shoulders a little stiff, makes shifting the gears kind of difficult. But like I said, these empty roads, I can just coast basically. Maybe I need to get a little more sleep though. I feel like I'm seeing things, or like my eyes are playing tricks. Like roadside plants and signs look like they're, I don't know, shaking or vibrating or something, only for a second, and then I blink and whatever, this optical illusion is gone. But like I promised you I'd be back for your birthday, and I'll be there. I'll be there. Like I'm gonna get back on the road. I'll call you at the end of every day. Ik hou van jou, mijn liefje. I gotta go. Next day, I'm hopping into the driver's seat, turning the engine. Large Marge never disappoints. But even she's got to wake up a little bit. Just cranks, doesn't quite turn over. Another go and she roars to life. And we're hitting the road. Oh, it's not long for that damn injury. flares up when I reach to put my seatbelt on across my body from right to left. It's stiff, and I can feel there's not much strength there. It just kind of makes the whole drive, just sitting here, hand on the gear shift, just uncomfortable. I make a body roll. 2 pluses and a blank is a success. I stretch it out, though, a little bit on the drive. Like, I've been dealing with this for years. I know the stretches I need to do to ease my discomfort a little bit. Makes the next few hours bearable. I haven't seen any weird glitches or stutters or whatever those weird things I've been seeing for a while. I'm on this long stretch of highway. It seems safe. Whatever is going on, either I'm just ahead of it or maybe just behind it. I could be running right into it, or it could catch up to me at any time. I don't know what it is or what'll happen if it does catch me. I don't even notice just when everybody disappeared, when the people went away, when these stutters, vibrations that I've been seeing. When it happened, it's like something is almost out of sync with what I'm seeing. Like my vision is out of sync or something. I don't know. When you're on the road as long as I am, your mind drifts, and you recall past moments, usually of regret and shame. And I can't help think about, there's moments with Emma that I didn't handle myself the way that I should have been. The way that my father should have raised me not to be. Those are things that I have to live with. Those are moments that I'll relive over and over again, not ever being able to change what's happened. The only thing that I can do is make sure it never, moments like that never happen again. I have to make a mind roll. 2 negatives and a blank. I lose a die. The rest of the day's drive, I just can't get those thoughts out of my head. It's distracting. I feel like I'm making no progress. I have to stop. I can't press on. I can't escape the dust, it's everywhere. I'm not quite out of it yet. I felt like that was a waste of a day on the road. But I made a promise. I'm gonna get home. I found a payphone. A jingle for some loose change. Put in a couple quarters. Listen to it ring. 6, 7, 8 times.
You've reached Emma. Call right now, but please leave a message after the beep, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hey, Muffin. I hope everything's good. I didn't get very far today. I don't know. I was stuck in my head. Road conditions were fine. It was all mental. Not the first time I've had a day like that. And I don't expect it to be the last either. There was a bit there where I was able to kind of forget about everything going around me. Despite what's happening around me, you're always the first thing that I'm keeping in mind. And you're what's driving me forward. You're always what drives me forward, Emma. I love you. I'll call you tomorrow. Large March roars to life first try. I'm determined to make today a good day. If Marge can get up, be positive, then so can I. It's time to hit the road. It's only a couple hours before I need to slow down. I'm studying something. It looks like a body. So much for a good day. But it's the first person. This was a person. The first person I've seen since hitting the road. Everything since I started back home. How do I describe this? I get out of Large Marge, I hop down to the asphalt. I approach cautiously. I don't know what to think. I get to the person and they're dimming. It's like they're pulsing, almost flickering like a bulb that's about to burn out. From fully transparent to semi-translucent, like it's phasing in and out of physicality. I can't help myself. My curiosity. I reach towards this person. My hand passes right through them. It's like they're not even there. Barely. There's slight resistance as they fade translucence to transparency. There's resistance that ebbs and flows. I recoil. This residue left on my hand. It's like a misting of, almost like, feels like you've been misted with hand sanitizer. I don't think this cleans anything. I wipe off my hand on my sleeveless vest and I get back into Large Marge. I don't know if this is connected to what's going on, but this person is flickering the same way, the road signs and the plants and the shrubbery I've been seeing flickering. It's like it's trying to disappear. Back in Large Marge, back on the road, and I'm finding myself repeating this mantra over and over again. I like almost catch myself in it, and it's just from a stupid song that Emma and I like, one of many that we are always quoting to each other from Scat Man. Ski ba 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 ba, over and over and over, and it's soothing and it's calming, or at least I hope it is, as I make a mind roll. Plus blank minus means that yes, it is soothing, especially after finding that deceased person. I settle in, again, that squeak of my seat, and I just keep repeating it, soothing myself. Close to the end of the day, and I get this feeling of electricity, like static shock. The hairs on my arms stand on end, and what little there is on the side of the road, I see it begins to flicker, and the signs stuttering, and even portions where the road has been patched with additional layers of asphalt, even those that I'm driving over start to flicker in the headlights. I can barely make it out in the overwhelming and consuming darkness as this day is ending. It's closer. I mark 1 on the threat track, and I make a mind roll. Blank blank negative. I almost losing control. My front driver's side tire hits. It's like it's a pothole as that asphalt patch flickers out of this physicality, out of phase with everything. The rig sinks and smacks up. I bounce in my seat as I drive over it. I lose a die. I floor it, trying to outrun whatever has almost caught up to me. I drive and drive until the dusty surrounding turns to rain. I can feel the humidity start to increase. I can taste the moisture in the air. My wipers are barely able to keep up with the rainfall as I pull over at this abandoned little diner. The neon signs says Dots. The D almost burnt out, flickering, and I reach a payphone.
Hi, Emma. I can't take your call right now, but please. Thank you.
I think I'm losing it, babe. At this point, I don't even know what is, if what I'm seeing is even real. Look, I've made it to the next town. I'm closer. I still have a long way to go. I'm into the foothills now. I'm making progress. These calls, just being able to talk things out with you, it always makes me feel better. Remember when we first started dating? There was so much. We made so much with what little, that we had. Time differences, just not even be able to travel for the first year. This reminds me of that, and I'm falling into that same mindset to make the best of what little that we have. And if this is these calls and these messages, if they're all that we have, then that's what I'll cherish and what I'll live for and what I'll strive for. It doesn't matter what else is going on. You are always my priority. The next morning, reliable large Marge starts immediately. And I hope this day is going to be a lot better than yesterday. Still, the rain is coming down. Wipers on max. The road, it feels slick. Like it does when it hasn't rained in weeks, and all the oils and, from passing previous motorists come to the surface above the slick rain coating the road. Makes everything just dangerous. I'm driving through, or close to, the Rocky Mountains. And now, since Dots, I haven't seen any type of structure, anything. The road here is in disrepair. For that, coupled with the weather conditions, it's slow progress, but it's progress. I wonder. You look out at acres and hectares of unoccupied land. Like whose is it? Who lives here? Or maybe lived here. I don't know anything about the history of who was and who is and who will be, hopefully, who will be. I need to take more time to learn about that stuff. It's important stuff. As long stretches of road turn into turns and switchbacks, as the rain begins to lessen, I feel like I know these roads. Like I know where they're going, almost on intuition. Maybe something is guiding me. Hell, it might be Large Marge taking charge and getting me home. But that rain stops, the foliage and the vegetation. Those bushes become trees and taller and larger growths of it. Thick now suddenly on either side, swaying in, severe winds. The wind is like rocks the cab, but this is progress. I've made a ton of ground today. But there's more day, and I keep going. As the hours pass and, twilight approaches, that assuredness that I had, I can feel it slipping away. I can feel confusion setting in. I give Marge a pat on the dashboard, reassuring her almost that it's not her, it's me. I'm lost. How did this happen? A few turns ago, I felt like I knew exactly where I was going. What distracted me? I don't know what happened. But I still have faith in Large Marge. We'll find our way again. Right after I make a phone call.
Back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hey, darling. Today was a much better day. Mentally, physically, like I feel good. The rig's running great. Out of the rain, through wind. Now there's kind of this fog that's settled in, and usually fog is like something that's eerie or like like a almost like a warning in some cases, but as it's reflecting little bits of moonlight, I'm strangely comforted by it. Maybe a pain tomorrow on the road if it doesn't lift by the time I set out, but at least now, if I'm out here in the fog, maybe there's someone else out there too. Someone else trying to get home to someone they love. I'm almost there. About halfway, I'd say. Halfway home to you. There was a reason that I chose Large Marge. I had my choice of semis. There was 3 or 4 of them. But I don't know, she just kind of spoke to me. I knew she'd be reliable. Again, she starts right away. And we hit the road. It's slow at first. The fog is still thick as it was last night before I went to sleep. But the weather kind of clears. The sunlight almost like it blasts away the thickest parts of it. As if like a spotlight is shining on the road for me. I can see, hundreds of feet ahead of me instead of only dozens now. It's quite serene. It's like I'm being guided. The most beautiful thing in the world right now is seeing the way home. I can see that now. I can see the way. And I enjoy it for as long as it lasts. My shoulder's been feeling pretty good. I've made sure I've been keeping up with my stretches, especially on the good days. It makes it easy to stretch the right side with the passenger being empty. So I don't even have to stop to do it, but it's feeling strong. I'm ready for more travel. Another round of stretching just finished, and I slam on the brakes, screeching Marge to a halt, narrowly avoiding by inches, slamming into this overturned truck. It's appeared in front of me. It's phasing now. It's there for a second before it starts to flicker. I can see there's people inside. They're alive. Their hands pressed against the glass. They look like they're screaming. I can't hear them. It's like soundless cries, and the truck flickers faster, more violently, and I can see the hood of Large Marge starting to slowly pulse with that flicker, and it starts to speed up, almost like it's trying to match whatever frequency or speed that this truck has. I crank it into reverse, almost straining the shoulder in my quick movement, flooring it back away from this truck, 10 feet, 20 feet, 30, 40, 50. And as I do, Marge's hood, that flickering starts to slow down until it finally stops. Meanwhile, the truck ahead of me, faster and faster and faster. The road around it, not just patches this time, the road itself flickering faster and faster until it's gone. completely out of existence. The crater it left, 30 feet wide, the threat found me again. I make a mind roll. 2 negatives. I lose a die. I start to panic. I'm still in reverse. I'm still moving backwards before I realize. I try to wrench control of my body. I'm locked in place. My foot locked to the floor, and I finally gain motor control again. I've lost so much ground now. I have to get around this crater. I'm done. I'm done today. Hi. I don't know how much longer I can go. I'm still so far away. I don't know if I'm going to keep my promise. I don't. I don't know. Come on, Marge. Please. I need this. Please. Oh, thank you. Whew. I wake up to white everywhere. A blanket of snow. It's freezing. I'm shivering in my cab. Finally, Large March starts, and I blast the heater. Before navigating around this crater, I'm afraid I'm going to get stuck. I don't know. The white, in stark contrast to the greens and browns of the forested area, everything just coated. It's almost blinding, like that snow blindness. Like I have to squint the whole drive. It's like I'm losing one sense, and as I'm squinting and barely making out the road ahead of me. They say what do they say that if you lose one sense and another heightens or something like that, but it's not. I don't feel any of my 5 senses heightening. I feel like almost like something else, something almost like something is pulling me, or I'm pulling it, like I'm dragging something behind me. It feels like there's an anchor behind Large Marge trying to catch on bits of road and debris and pulling us back to it, but we're pulling it ahead to wherever we're going. I just get this sinking feeling about what will happen even if I make it back to Emma. My eyes squinted. It's like they're almost shut, almost as if I've closed them to take a nap. It's strange how you can, you mimic something physically, or you mime something, or you even a thought, you pretend something for so long and so effectively, it starts to become reality. It becomes your reality. My eyelids, they feel heavy, like as if I didn't even sleep at all last night. I glanced back to the cot that lays across behind the driver's and passenger seat. It's not much. It's lumpy. It's the pillow cases are stained, and threadbare blanket, which doesn't help in this climate now that I find myself in. I don't know. It's not much, but out on the road, it's the only sanctuary that I really have. Between motels and bug-infested places. At least there I know, I'm safe. Usually sleeping through the night is a struggle. Whether it's some type of shoulder pain if I rolled over on it the wrong way, or a dream from thoughts that continue to race, that have been racing through my mind for days or weeks. Just it's like hearing an earworm of a song sometimes. When you have a thought that you just cannot get rid of. It just keeps nagging at you, and it seeps into your dreams. Makes for restless sleeps. Most of the time. The snow blindness, it changes colors. The light reflecting and refracting from the bits of snow, they become yellows and pinks and purples and of neon lights from this little city that I find myself in, where I can pull over and scavenge, basically. How many days has it been now since finishing my run? 5, 6? I don't know. I don't even know. But I find something. Just, at a gas station, just a crappy old first aid kit, but it has one of those like ice packs that you kind of crack, right? To almost like a glow stick. I'm able to apply that to my shoulder. It makes a world of difference. I get to advance my body stat. After finding this, it's getting late, but I think I can push on. I feel good. I don't feel like we've made enough progress yet, and I keep driving. And I eventually I come across another rig, a twin, same model, same year as Large Marge. Don't tell her, but it looks like it's in better condition. But I can salvage parts. I can keep things for potential repairs. I mean, so far, maybe Marge has had a day or two of struggling to start, but if that happens again, I can fix her. Why isn't this rig flickering? Maybe I've outrun the threat finally. Maybe I'm so far ahead of it that I'll be finding people again. Population, I could maybe talk to somebody that isn't an answering machine, But with these parts, I think we can keep going. Advance the rig stat. Full dark, it's late. I shouldn't be on the road this late. Especially after already contemplating having a nap earlier in the day, but I finally crossing this border. I don't even know what it's a border for. There's one of those swinging arms. There's a light on over the booth. I can see that it's empty. I don't bother slowing down. I've kind of always wanted to do this. And I gun it, and I blast through that wooden arm as it shatters. Large Marge, barely even a dent. On the other side of it, it's what a border is supposed to be like a doorway. You transition, or a transition between two places. A doorway is just a transition between two rooms. That's what a border serves as, right? A border can represent opportunity and, adventure in some cases. I suppose it could also represent dread and hardship. War. Doesn't seem like any of that matters now. If things are as bad everywhere as they are from the places that I've seen, then none of that matters. I've pressed on long enough. I've made the progress I wanted. It's time to find a phone.
The number you dialed is not in service.
Hi, Mindleafia. Still kind of feels like I'm operating on fumes here. If it wasn't for you and Large Marge, I don't know if I'd still be en route, but I'm almost home. Hopefully only about 3 days away. Every time I leave one of these messages, I just picture you, the following morning maybe, listening back to them, and I wonder how they affect you. The last few I've left, they have not been very reassuring for you. I'm sorry if I've been scaring you. If I have to tie my hand to the steering wheel and put a brick on my foot on the gas pedal, Large Marge will get me home. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Okay, Marge. Keep me on my toes. 3 tries to start. We're all right. The road is icy now. The snow is melted and refrozen overnight, and now it's just black ice the whole way. I reach under the driver's seat. I keep something stashed there. It's a little stuffed shark. His name's Greg. He means a lot to me because he reminds me so much of Emma, so much of when we were starting out, when we were started as friends, and there's a whole story behind Greg, and every time I look at him, it reminds me of those times and the first weeks and first months of a budding relationship, that excitement and the nervousness. It all just kind of floods back, and it just makes me smile. Progress is slow on this ice, I pull over, just stop for a bit, only a few minutes. I give Large Marge a bit of a cursory once over, kick off some icicles that have formed on her mud flaps, dripping from the bottom of the rig itself. Kind of wipe off the top of the hood of the rig, I stare at that hours and hours and hours as I'm driving. Strange, it never occurred to me to do anything with it, to like fancy it up or anything. I think I'll do that now. I retrieve a old bottle of spray paint kicking around in the back of the cab, and I do my best at spray painting what's supposed to be a pumpkin on the hood. Emma's my muffin, and I'm her pumpkin, her pompoen, which is Dutch for a pumpkin. I think it's fitting. I think Large Marge looks great with a pompoen. Starting up again, just creeping across this ice. I'm stopped. Barely, just light pressure on the brakes so I don't skid out on the ice. In front of this wounded animal, just in the middle of the road. Looks like some, a deer, probably more like an elk in this territory. I don't know, its fur is coated in dried and crystallized blood. It looks like it's barely moving. I'm not sure that I can do much for it. I get out and I try to pull it off of the roadway. There's something strange about it as I get close. I see what has wounded it. I see the shaft of an arrow sticking out of it. The arrow itself it's flickering. It's doing that out of phase thing, as if it's can't make its mind up about whether it stays in this reality or shifts or fades into whatever other place it's goes to. I'm hesitant to pull it out. I don't know if I should touch it, but the animal itself doesn't seem to be flickering. I try to, again, grab onto it, but my hand finds purchase like for a second before it flickers out, and my grasp closes completely on this ungrabbable object. The whole arrow kind of phases through the deer, drops to the ice. As soon as it's free, the animal rears its antlered head at me, and I make a body roll. I'm able to get one arm up in front of me, but this thing, of course, has a pair of antlers as its head is flailing and the second set lashes towards me. One positive. I stumble back just in time as the antler just scrapes almost like across the tip of my nose, and I, on all fours, scrambling back towards the cab, and this thing just kind of gets up, seems to be able to stand on its own now with this arrow removed, and it runs off as I make it back to the cab. Large Marge rolls forward steadily, my breathing heavy. Haven't made it out of the ice yet. I have to keep going. And even when the road is as barren as it is for so long, those old driving habits, they don't go away. You check your mirrors every 15, 20 seconds, flit to the side, check your rear view, and that's when I see it. Or at least I see the lack of something, the frozen trees and the landscape behind me. Everything is stuttering, everything is flickering. It overwhelms my senses as I have to squeeze my eyes shut and divert my gaze from the rearview mirror as the threat is right behind me. But it hasn't caught me yet. Despite the conditions, I floor it. I make a rig roll. As a blank, as a success. As I pick up speed, I pray to every single god that there isn't a sharp bend ahead of me somewhere. On this ice, I would never make the turn. I can't even feel the road. I'm just gliding faster and faster and faster. Momentum picking up. The distortions and flickering and everything behind me, the trees, they're blinking out of existence. The road blinking, parts of it leaving more craters like around that truck behind me. Everything is falling away. And I'm able to outrun it. Large Marge. I've never gotten Large Marge as fast as this before. The road behind me starts to stretch. More of it, I can see more of it in the rear view mirror between me and the disappearing plant life and structures that I'm flying by. Everything is a blur. I can only focus on what's ahead and what is behind until there's nothing around me except open fields of snow and ice. No more trees. I'm out of whatever this forested terrain was, and I'm not stopping. Pressing on again, way too late. But if this ice, the threat behind, I feel like I'm not making any progress towards Emma. Large Marge hasn't slowed down. I'm putting every ounce of energy into maintaining and controlling this rig. And my mind drifts again. It wanders. Almost like in this focused sense. I have the steering wheel gripped in both hands. My forearms rigid and tight. My shoulder starts to flare up. That weakness. I can feel the weakness in my grip. It's frustrating. It angers me every time that I feel it. And I remember this nightmare I had about my injury, my wound. When you're dreaming, it all makes perfect sense. When you first wake up, that rationality of it immediately starts to ebb and drain. And then 30 minutes later, an hour later, like, you can't even recall how you got from point A to point B to C or D, anything in between. You're suddenly remembering this instance, and then you're in this other instance. And it's just something as simple as needing to grab on to my person for dear life with my terrible, awful shoulder and just being unable to do it, failing physically, losing her, failing her. I make a mind roll. A negative. I lose my final die. As I'm thinking of and remembering this memory, again, it's like I'm there, and it feels like it becomes reality, but this time I don't fail. I save her. I pull her up easily. More strength than I could even ask for, more strength than I could even ever physically achieve. And I have Emma in my arms, and she's safe, and we're both safe. There is no threat. There's nothing advancing upon us anymore. We're fine, and we're together. I never want to leave this place. And I never will. This has been a Sounds of Steel production.